Good YouTube, Ghost Padrino back again with another YouTube video for you guys, and today we're gonna be reviewing the latest Attack on Titan chapter. So I don't think I've reviewed a chapter yet on this channel. For anime only fans, it's gonna be very spoiler heavy, so I'm gonna just leave 15 seconds for anime only viewers to step outside for a minute. Yo man, this chapter, Attack on Titan chapter 138. Isayama is a tactician. Isayama is a tactician. Now, there's a lot going on in the chapter. I'm not gonna do like a panel by panel chapter review. I think that's it's pretty dull, because like chapters aren't like episodes, you know. It's kind of you read what you see, and it is what it is. We know what went down. I just want to talk about my specific moments that I enjoyed, as well as kind of how it links back to previous episodes, previous chapters, what Isayama was planting all along, and how it came in full circle, because it definitely came full circle. I want to start by talking about the main thing that happened. So Eren Yeager is finally free. The man was killed by Mikasa. The boy who sought freedom, goodbye. And obviously that's not literal, but the figurative meaning behind that is something so beautiful to witness. Like, starting off from the jump from the episode, Mikasa was having headaches, and us from our knowledge of the previous from the previous chapters in the story, her headaches were due to her being an Ackerman, and due to her so Eren sort of lied to her and said that Ackermans are kind of loyal and slaves to their host, and their host is, you know, like anyone that they connect to when they're younger that makes them activate their power. So for Mikasa it would be Eren, for Levi it would be either Erwin, and one could say that it transferred to Hanji as well. For Kenny it was obviously the what's his name again, the previous founding Titan, but Eren was killed by Mikasa because he was able to alter her final memories. And in one way, there's two ways you can interpret this, because my way is the way I interpret it, but then this is the beauty of the show, there's so many ways to interpret this. The way I see it at first glance is Eren literally, at the brink of death, altered Mikasa's memories to show an alternative timeline where, you know, right after the war with Marley ended, he was like, yo, I got love for you, let's just say fuck it to all of this, because I don't know if I want to go the Zeke route with genocide and euthanasia, or if I want to go the Hanji and Historia route, which is breeding more Titans, taking control of the Titans, and then another cycle of Eldians taking over happens again. He did not want to do either of those, so he just sat around, and in that alternative timeline, he's like, Mikasa, how do you feel about me? And Mikasa, instead of what she actually said, which in our timeline she said we are family, in that timeline she says that she loves him, and they run away together, they live in the cabin, kind of like what Mikasa's mom and Mikasa's parents did. So he pretty much gave her that alternative memory so that it wouldn't be her final memory of him before she kills him, while also giving her the resolve for her to kill him. Because as of right before that stage, the last conversation they had was what we're about to see in the episodes coming soon, where Eren has his hand on the table, blooded up, and he's like, don't move, and he's talking to Mikasa about this Ackerman rule, this Ackerman way of biology, and saying, you know, I've always hated you. That was her last memory of him, and that's what was kind of clinching those headaches, because in the alternative timeline, they were in love and they ran away, so she was having headaches just of her reacting to this different timeline that was not really what she expected. Kind of leads to the beginning. If I'll pop up a shot at the panel where Eren is like, yo, Mikasa, why are you crying? she is crying because in this alternative timeline, she is not supposed to be here like this. They're not supposed to be in love like this, away from everyone else. Armin's not supposed to be looking for them. They're supposed to be fighting you, Eren. Attack on Titan is some crazy shit, and there's a parallel to the first episode where now Mikasa is waking Eren up. It felt like they were in a long dream, and Mikasa is saying, Eren, why are you crying? Eren is saying, why am I crying? Wait, why is your hair so long? Thinking back to his view of Mikasa as the view that we see in our timeline right now of her hair being short. This nigga Isayama, bro. As you guys can tell, this is not like a clear, like, it's not an organized, constructive review. It's kind of just me analyzing. I'm partially in shock. The episode dropped the chapter dropped last night. It's 2 p.m. The day after, on a Saturday. Still wrapping my thoughts around it, but it's definitely, I want to say that I'm satisfied with the ending first and foremost. I can't say that everyone will, because the thing with these alternative timelines, different like messing with time, is always taken heavily by different people. But I like to liken this to Lelouch and Code Geass, and Code Geass is one of my favorite shows of all time, and they kind of went that route. And I love it. I am supremely here for it, leaving the door open to interpretation, just like we are seeing two different interpretations. This Isayama is goated. And like that back to my point of view, that was my perception of it. Other people are perceiving it as Eren. People are perceiving it as Eren having known this from the jump. Like from the jump. From the first episode of season 1 to you 2,000 years from now. That's what it was called. Eren wakes up crying. Mikasa is like, yo, why are you crying? Eren was crying because of his long dream. And his long dream was everything that we just went through. You know what I'm saying? Like the whole show. From Eren having to, manipulate his father, from Eren having to carry on from Eren Kruger's will, from Eren having to, almost like Armin almost sacrificing himself for Eren being burnt to a crisp. All of those events, those are part of Eren's long dream that he woke up from in the first episode with his tears. If we flash back, I'll probably put a panel or post a shot of like the first episode of season 1. His memory his dream, him waking up from his dream, you see panels and shots. You see the wax king melting, a representation of the king, the fake king falling. You see Maria, Rose, and Sina, not the walls, but the daughters of King Freeze, kind of eating and munching. Everything culminated to this, and everything that we were reading and watching and following was Eren going through his long dream that he did not want. What Eren would have liked was for there to be a peaceful decision where him, Mikasa, Armin, and all of his friends could live happily ever after. Because what he said to them on that cart while they were building the railroad was not false. Like he did want them to be free. There was just no other way. This man grabbed Hanji from the cell, like, Hanji-san, tell me what I should do. Yeah, he seemed angry. Yeah, he seemed like he was trying to kill her, but this man was begging for an answer. He was begging for an alternative, but there just wasn't one. That man had to do what he had to do to gain freedom. Freedom how? Is it literal freedom for himself? No, because he's dead. But is he free? Free from the burden and the chains of being a slave to freedom. Because Kenny Ackerman said, every human being is a slave to something. Every human being is a slave to something. And Isayama makes it very, very clear. And I like this recurrent thing with themes. He makes it very, very clear. Every single human being that had a dream and they were slave to it, did they ever achieve it in the show? My favorite character, Erwin, his dream was to find the outside world, was to find the truth about education. What does Isayama do? He puts him right at the doorstep of it. Right at the doorstep of the basement. But Erwin makes the choice to sacrifice himself. Character development. Slave to your dream. Him being a slave to that dream is what got him there, though. People would say, oh man, was it really worth it in the end? Would Erwin have been the commander that he was if he wasn't a slave to that dream? Kenny was a slave to power and retribution. His Ackerman clan was, ostracized for years. This man wanted power. He found the what's his name? I gotta get his name for this review, man. It starts with an E, doesn't it? I forget. But he decided to get close to him and grow strong with him to ultimately try to gain that power. Did he gain that power? Almost, because he had Eren at the grasp of his hand. Eren was in that cave. And Kenny Ackerman, you're not gonna tell me Kenny Ackerman in a cave with Historia, Rod Rice, and Eren, who's in shackles, is not the strongest man on that court. He wanted to. He's like, hey, I'm gonna take the Founding Titan for myself. That was his motivation. He was a slave to power. What does he do in the end? Right when he's able to do it, he realizes that that's not really what he wants. He's better than that. And he's seen what it can do to people and he doesn't want it. Character development. Everyone is a slave to something and that's what gets them to where they're supposed to be. But them being a slave to it kind of has that negative connotation that they shouldn't have it. They really shouldn't seek for it. You know what I'm saying? So Erwin, Kenny, Armin was a slave to wanting to see the outside world. So kind of like Eren, but Eren was a slave to freedom in the sense of humans being free. Armin was a slave to wanting to see the outside world and exploring. Armin is the one that got hit the deepest because the outside world was a world that hated him. The outside world was a world that hated his race, that did not want to see them alive, that called them devils. He was a slave to, what gave him the inspiration of waking up every morning and striving to be the greatest, didn't want him. You step outside the beach, you step out through the sea, and what do you see? A continent that fully hates you. Isayama planted. Shout out to the GOAT Isayama, man. He might be, he's top 2 mangakas for me. Isayama and Hiromu Arakawa. She made Full Metal, if you guys don't know, but top 2 mangakas for me, man. This guy has set up a fantastic world and has left me leaving satisfied at the show and at the series. But this Attack on Titan, man, this is fantastic. That's the main thing I wanted to touch on, because the chapter, there's a lot of stuff that go on, and if you're watching this review, you've probably read the chapter, so you know, like R.I.P. to Jean, R.I.P. to Connie, like they've been soldiers till the end. Like Connie being like, yo Jean, remember after graduation when we saved the fucking world. Right after they graduated, the fucking walls broke down again. Reiner broke down the second wall. No, I think it was Bertolt who broke down the second wall. Jean had to lead a squad. He was a cadet, a newly recruited cadet. He had to lead a squad. Those guys are dogs, man. Those guys are dogs. And in the end, will they see life? No, it's bittersweet. They all turn into Titans. Then again, though, I'm gonna post a panel shot. It looks like Jean is biting at Reiner's neck, so he might take over from that. But Connie's for sure gone. Gabby turned into a Titan. I did not see that coming, man. I did not see that coming. Gabby turned into a Titan, and Falco, I feel so bad for Falco, man. Falco was a slave to, wanting a better life for Gabby. That's what he really wanted. And classic Isayama, you're almost there, but then Isayama just snatches that away. Isayama has a pattern of giving you something positive and giving you something negative right after. So it's like, yeah, you can enjoy the positive, but let me toss this in as well and make you really reflect, because that's really how life is. That's literally how life is. You don't, first of all, with every positive outcome, there's a negative outcome. With every, it's like the stock market. With every bump, there's going to be a dip. The greater the bump, expect a great dip. You know, kind of links to Full Metal. I'm always bring up to Full Metal, but equivalent exchange for something of a certain of X amount of value to be gained, something of equal value must be lost. And hey, if y'all can't tell, I'm blushing right now, bro. I'm in awe of this chapter, even though it's the second last chapter. To me, this feels like the final chapter, simply because they closed Aaron's story, the main character's story, and it's as it was expected. You know, from the moment he went on his solo game, you know, anti-hero vibe, semi-antagonist vibe. You know, you had to see this coming. You know, Aaron was going to pass away one way or another. It was just a matter of who was going to survive. Who was he going to leave behind? You know, was he going to save everyone, sacrifice himself to save everyone, or was it going to be like? But this was as expected, and I am 110% satisfied. 110% satisfied. Shout out to Isayama, man. Shout out to Isayama. I'm not gonna speculate on what happens next week. Next month's chapter is going to be about Aaron's, because we've seen this month's chapter was Mikasa's. Last month's chapter was Armin's growth. So they're ending it with EMA. Next month's chapter is going to be about Aaron. I'm predicting they're going to tie it back. They're going to shed a bit more light into that alternate timeline, and then tie it back to him waking up in the first episode of the season. Such a beautiful story. Such a beautiful story. Attack on Titan is top 2, and it might not be number 2. You know what I'm saying? It might not be number 2. But yeah, this was a quick. I don't even want to call it a review. It's strictly my reaction to it. I have just finished reading it maybe 6 or 7 hours ago, contemplating my thoughts. Twitter was live. Twitter was popping. Contemplating my thoughts, and yeah, I'm feeling good right now. This chapter was great. Shout out to Attack on Titan. Shout out to Isayama. And yeah, it's been your boy Ghost Padrino. I'm gonna see y'all next time.